On July 20th, 1973, martial arts phenomenon and actor Bruce Lee died suddenly without warning while working on a movie he wrote, produced, and directed, The Game of Death. The exact cause of Bruce Lee's ultimate and mysterious death remains unknown. However, even with there not being any specific evidence, many have speculated that his death was anything but natural, with theories ranging anywhere from a potential assassination brought on by local criminals, to him suffering from a swelling from the brain, and finally to him falling victim to an alleged family curse. Although how he died may be in dispute, but how he lived is not. He was considered by many an icon who developed his own martial arts while simultaneously teaching philosophy and breaking barriers. This is a story of Bruce Lee. Before we get into today's story, my name's Jennifer Walker Zen. I'm a psychic intuitive and I've been reading tarot since I've been 14 years old. So if you're a fan of the dark and mysterious with a little tarot thrown in for good measure, then I am the girl for you. I upload once a week on this channel. And if you're really a fan of tarot, you can go join me on my other channel, Jennifer Walker Zen. So what I would ask you to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my uploads. Now, before we get into today's story, let me introduce my co-host, Mr. Hyde, who's a writer and researcher. I will see you guys at the end of this for the tarot reading, so stick to the end. Now, let's get into today's story.
Bruce Lee was born on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco. Coincidentally, according to the Chinese zodiac, he was born on both the hour and the year of the dragon. Additionally, in the Chinese zodiac, the dragon is considered a mythical creature with a fierce temper and tremendous power. And to many, including his family, that's the definition of what Bruce Lee was to a T. His father, Lee Hoi-chun, was a well-known film and stage actor who toured with a Cantonese opera company. His mother was a traditional Chinese woman whose superstitious nature caused her to fear for the safety of her son. Her fearful, superstitious nature was brought on by the loss of her previous male child. She believed the loss was an omen, and for that reason she called Bruce Siphont, which means little phoenix, which is in reality a feminine name. This was done in the hopes that the spirits would think he was a female child and therefore bypass him and let him live. That, however, was short-lived, due to a nurse giving him the nickname Bruce, which stuck. In 1941, as World War II began to ravage Europe and threaten to engulf the South Pacific, Bruce's father thought it wise to move his family back to Hong Kong. Fortunately, Bruce's father was able to find work as an actor and would often bring Bruce to the film sets with him. Bruce turned out to be a natural, and by the age of 6, the charismatic young performer was cast in his first speaking role. Even in Bruce's early films, he was showing the kind of charm, charisma, and body language that would mark his later screen appearances. As time went on, Bruce really grew into his looks and was considered by many to be quite handsome. Because of his status, Bruce was extremely confident, as well as extremely cocky as a teenager. And in addition to acting, he also developed a love for dancing, winning first place in numerous cha-cha contests. However, post-war Hong Kong was a tough place to grow up, mainly due to the gangs ruling the city streets. But even as a young man, he wasn't afraid to fight, which quite often put him on a collision course with gangs in the street. Bruce liked to challenge and face his adversaries head on. In one such fight, Bruce took on the son of a feared triad gang member. Afraid of retaliation, his parents enrolled their son in his first martial arts class, training under Yip Man, a martial arts master and philosopher. As a result, Bruce was instructed in the ways of discipline and self-control. Beginning in his early teens, he became involved with Wing Chun Kung Fu, which was a form of martial arts. Unfortunately, Bruce's street fighting continued, and the violent nature of the confrontations were escalating. Things would continue to escalate until a particularly violent interaction between Bruce and a fellow student occurred. This incident brought Bruce to the attention of the authorities. When Bruce's father went to retrieve him from the police custody, he was told directly that if Bruce got into one more confrontation, he was going to jail. To rescue their son, Bruce's parents made the difficult decision to send their 18-year-old son to live with friends in the United States. Bruce settled in Seattle and soon found work at a restaurant owned by a family friend named Ruby Chow. However, the rebellious young Bruce Lee was certain he was destined for more than waiting tables in Chinatown, and as a result, enrolled at the University of Washington. He majored in philosophy and blended his studies with martial arts. He developed a reputation on campus as being a master of martial arts, and his classmates began flocking to him for instruction. Initially, he didn't charge anything for the lessons, and probably never would have. However, his students began to notice the frustrations he was having due to his finances, and volunteered to start paying him to ease his financial burden. It was also at the encouragement of his students that he decided to start a school. A few months later, in 1963, while still in college, Bruce opened the Jun-fan Kung Fu Institute. It was during the teaching of these classes that he would meet his future wife, a former cheerleader named Linda Emery. Their first official date was on October 25th, 1963, and progressed almost immediately into Bruce and Linda having a serious relationship. With that said, however, it became noticeably very quickly that Linda's mother was not happy with her choice of boyfriend. During that time, the 1960s, interracial couples were not widely accepted, and Miss Emery doubted that the young philosophy student could provide a stable life for her daughter. Determined to prove her wrong, Bruce worked harder than ever to build his franchise of martial arts schools. And on August 17, 1964, Bruce and Linda were married. From there, the couple moved to Oakland, California, where Bruce had already opened a second Kung Fu school. And by all accounts, the school was doing exceptionally well. Bruce continued his practice of teaching all willing to learn. Bruce's philosophy was, quote, "If your heart is right, I'm going to teach you," end quote. He was one of the first to teach the true secrets of the martial arts to Americans and non-Asians. His belief system, albeit noble, led to very strong feelings among many Asians during that time. And him teaching non-Asians was not only seen as corrupt, but extremely improper, and needed to be stopped immediately. Within months of his new school opening, he was confronted by a group of Asian martial arts masters that issued him an ultimatum, ordering him to stop teaching non-Asians or face the consequences of having to fight their top master. That, of course, was the wrong thing to say to Bruce Lee. He seemingly loved the challenge and absolutely was not going to back down or be told what to do by anyone. The fight allegedly lasted no more than 3 minutes. It is said that Bruce subdued the master martial artist, putting him to the floor, and made the man say in Chinese, "I give up, I give up." Winning the fight, however, wasn't enough for him. He thought he could have won in seconds, not minutes, and as a result began developing a strict regiment, revolutionizing martial arts. Bruce Lee began taking a hard and objective look at the art of combat, and came away with some very profound truths, such as things are constantly changing. True combat is not one-dimensional, it is multidimensional, and formless and shapeless like water. It was also Bruce's hope that martial arts would combat racism by bridging the gap between Eastern and Western cultures. That's why when he was invited to Ed Parker's karate championship, he jumped at the opportunity to spread his newfound philosophy about martial arts and to show the world what he could do. Needless to say, he did not disappoint. He astonished the crowd with his famous one-inch punch. He dazzled the crowd with his kicking ability, leaving everyone in amazement at his strength, power, and speed. However, despite his growing reputation in the martial arts field, Bruce was still struggling to make ends meet. Unfortunately, even though his schools were popular, they were not bringing in enough money, leaving the future of his business and overall financial stability looking extremely bleak. A short time later, on February 1st, 1965, Bruce and Linda put aside their financial issues to celebrate the birth of their first child, Brandon Lee. This celebratory feeling was short-lived, however, because just 1 week after the birth of Brandon, Bruce received word that his father, Lee Hoi-chun, had died in Hong Kong. After their funeral, Bruce was more determined than ever to make his mark, and began focusing all his attention on perfecting his distinctive style of martial arts, eventually calling it Jeet Kune Do, which translates into the way of the intercepting fist. He combined the best parts of many kinds of fighting styles, such as boxing, wrestling, and other forms of martial arts, along with the movements of fencing, and incorporated them into a single martial art. While Bruce was busy pouring all his time and energy into martial arts, veteran TV producer William Dozier was busy searching for an Asian actor that could star in a new TV series he was developing based on the classic Charlie Chan mysteries. A friend of Dozier's, Hollywood hairstylist Jay Sebring, had recently seen Lee's demonstration at the Ed Parker tournament and rather enthusiastically recommended him to the producer, telling him Bruce had true fighting skill as well as charisma. He then obtained footage of Bruce to show him, and almost immediately, Dozier knew he had found who he had been looking for. Unfortunately, the new Charlie Chan series was scrapped, and Dozier began working on his upcoming Batman TV series. He promised Bruce, however, that he would keep him in mind for his next project, one based on a classic radio drama from the 1930s, The Green Hornet. They wanted to offer Bruce the role of Kato, but first had to see if Batman worked. Fortunately, Bruce Lee didn't have to wait very long. Batman became a national phenomenon, and within weeks, Dozier began preparing The Green Hornet. The show premiered on Friday, September 9th, 1966. Bruce Lee became an instant success. He went from being a martial arts instructor to someone that everybody watched in prime time in North America. People were mesmerized. They had never seen anything like Bruce Lee before. Not long after the premiere of The Green Hornet, Bruce Lee began receiving more fan mail than its primary star, Van Williams. Seemingly years of financial insecurity were gone. Bruce Lee was now a regular in a network TV series, and although his role was secondary to that of Van Williams, he was determined not to play Kato as a subordinate. He refused to play Kato the way Chinese had been portrayed up to that point. His rule was he would not do any roles demeaning the Chinese culture on set. He was a perfectionist. He worked hard to make his fight scenes as authentic as possible. However, because of his speed, he had to learn to compromise and move more slowly due to the moving too fast for the cameras. Unfortunately, due to the Green Hornet's non-campy, less colorful nature, especially when compared to its contemporary counterpart, it failed to catch on with primetime audiences and was canceled after just one season. Bruce Lee was devastated. He had hoped the show would have been more successful, allowing him to segue into more other fruitful roles. However, once again, uncertainty loomed. Bruce was now 27 and only able to find acting roles sporadically, despite having legions of loyal fans. Unable to find work as an actor, he decided to hire himself out as a fight coordinator on films, like The Wrecking Crew, starring Dean Martin. Allegedly, during this time, it became extremely difficult to break into Hollywood due to the racial barriers that existed, preventing him from crossing over into the Hollywood establishment. Frustrated, Bruce turned to his friend, Green Hornet producer Charles Fitzsimmons, for advice. Fitzsimmons advised Bruce to start teaching people in their own homes, whereas he didn't need a studio. Thinking the plan sounded interesting, and with nothing to lose, Bruce implemented it, and it took off immediately. He began attracting celebrity students like James Corbin, Steve McQueen, and basketball legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Bruce became the hottest martial arts coach in Hollywood, and on April 19, 1969, Bruce welcomed his second child into the world, Shannon Lee. Things were seemingly moving back in a positive direction. Unfortunately, that all changed one morning in 1970. While working out with weights, he injured a major nerve in his back, which left him unable to train. To make matters worse, doctors gave him the devastating news that he would never be able to perform martial arts again. Vowing to prove them wrong, as soon as Lee was healthy enough to train, he set up an exhaustingly daily regimen for himself and poured his energy into refining his philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, and began writing extensively on every aspect of martial arts combat, turning a stumbling block into a stepping stone. Additionally, Bruce began working closely with screenwriter Sterling Silliphant and actor James Corbin on the film idea entitled The Silent Flute. The idea had originated from a screenplay. Warner Brothers showed some interest. The thinking was that this picture was going to be the one to break Bruce into Hollywood. However, after several false starts, the movie idea was shelved, leaving Bruce feeling as though Hollywood had turned its back on him as an actor. And as a result, he traveled to Hong Kong to promote himself and met with Asian filmmaker Run Run Shaw, the biggest Asian filmmaker in Hong Kong. Unfortunately, what they were offering Bruce was far below what he was looking for, so he politely declined and went back to Hollywood and continued teaching. In 1971, Bruce collaborated with Sterling on a script for the TV popular Longstreet series, guest appearing as a martial arts master. And it was well received by the show's producers, so much so that he was offered a recurring role. What Bruce didn't know, however, is by now his status in Asia had changed. And on a return trip back to Hong Kong, he was astonished to discover that the Green Hornet had become hugely popular. In fact, Asian fans referred to it as the Kato Show. And when he arrived at the airport, he was amazed by the thousands of people that came to greet him. He could barely walk without being mobbed. And as a result of his newfound fame, Bruce was asked to star in a film for top Asian producer Raymond Chow, to whom Bruce met with and signed a 3-picture deal. The rest is history. Bruce's first film was a modestly budgeted martial arts film entitled The Big Boss, or as it has become better known by The Fist of Fury. Hong Kong moviegoers were renowned for being very vocal. Additionally, it was well known if moviegoers disliked a movie, it was not uncommon for them to cut the seats with knives and destroy the movie theater. Upon first viewing of the movie The Big Boss, Bruce Lee, along with his family, were in attendance. And after the end of the movie, the theater was completely silent, leading the director and the producer as well as Bruce thinking they hated it. However, to their amazement, a few seconds later, the theater erupted into thunderous applause. The Big Boss would go on to break all previous box office records in Asia, making Bruce Lee an international star. But instead of taking his newfound celebrity status for granted, he pushed himself even harder. In the next film for Raymond, Fist of Fury, or better known as The Chinese Connection, he introduced the nunchuck, a weapon never seen in martial arts film before. Once again, the film broke all box office records. His third film for Raymond was called The Way of the Dragon, or as it is better known here in the States, The Return of the Dragon. The final fight scene in the movie involved him and his friend Chuck Norris fighting in a Roman Colosseum. It has been described by many as epic, and for all intents and purposes, Bruce Lee's star status was solidified in Asia. However, his real goal of becoming a star in Hollywood still eluded him. And unfortunately, old habits die hard. Despite international fame as a martial arts superstar, Bruce Lee seemed no match for domestic prejudices. Bruce Lee as a lead actor was still seen as being too risky. The issue of Bruce Lee being seen too risky was put on full display when the concept for a television show starring Bruce Lee about a man from Asia in the Old West, developed by Fred Weintraub and Bruce Lee, called The Warrior, which was later changed to Kung Fu, ended up starring Caucasian actor David Carradine, who they tried to make look half Chinese. Bitter at what he considered Hollywood's racism, Bruce began working on his next movie, The Game of Death, which he directed, wrote, and produced, co-starring his friend and former pupil, Abdul Jamar. Before the game of death was completed, Bruce finally got the call from Hollywood. He had been waiting for all his life. He was offered his first starring role in an American film called Enter the Dragon. It would be the first big-budget martial arts blockbuster, and a validation of Bruce's years of dedication to his art. His co-stars were Jim Kelly, Bolo Young, and John Saxon. As a result of this newfound opportunity, he began working a 7-day-a-week schedule. He was working hard, and everyone knew. He was on the cusp of realizing his dreams. When settling on May 10th, 1973, while editing Enter the Dragon in a Hong Kong studio, Bruce Lee began feeling dizzy and collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital and appeared very close to death. However, doctors were unable to determine the cause, even after a battery of tests were performed. He seemingly recovered enough to return to work, and almost immediately after completing editing for Enter the Dragon, he resumed work on the unfinished Game of Death. That, unfortunately, would turn out to be unwise. While allegedly at the home of a Chinese actress, Betty Ting, he wanted to cast in the film, he began complaining about having a headache, and she allegedly gave him a prescription tablet similar to an aspirin. He then went into another room, lay down, and a short time later, when she couldn't wake him, Betty Ting called her personal physician, Dr. Eugene Chu and Raymond Chow. After examining Bruce, Dr. Eugene immediately called an ambulance, while simultaneously Raymond Chow contacted Linda Lee. On July 20th, 1973, at the age of just 32, Bruce Lee was pronounced dead. His sudden death shocked the world. Bruce Lee's official cause of death was a cerebral edema, or swelling of the brain, an allergic reaction brought on by the pill he had taken to alleviate his headache. And it was ruled a freak accident. To many, however, he was seen as in the peak of his health, and for him to just die without any external source, such as a car accident or great illness, made people very suspicious. And those suspicions gave way to rumors that his death was no accident. Some believed he was murdered in retaliation by a Hong Kong gang. Others speculated that he may have been killed by other Asian martial artists in retaliation for him teaching non-Asians. The final and most controversial explanation for his death was that of a family curse. Whatever the cause of his death, what cannot be disputed is his contribution to martial arts, as well as his unbelievable drive in the face of unsurmountable odds. A month after his death, Enter the Dragon was released to theaters and went on to be an unbelievable success, making it one of the world's highest grossing films of all time. Bruce Lee had done it. He had finally become an American movie star, well on his way to becoming a superstar, who unfortunately met his untimely death. And that is where the story should end. However, as fate would have it, 20 years later, his son Brandon Lee, who was well on his way to becoming a Hollywood star by starring in the supernatural thriller The Crow, met his untimely death on March 31st, 1993, due to an accidental misfire of a prop gun, giving rise once more to the theory of a family curse. Now that you know the story, let's get some answers and join Jennifer Walker Zen in her investigation room.
Hello, welcome to my investigation room. We're going to be talking about what exactly happened with these situations. I have a few questions set aside. Of course, you guys can give me some other questions in the comments below. I have to say this legal disclaimer. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, let's jump right in here. Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask has to do with, was there a curse around this situation when it came to Bruce Lee? Because that was a lot of the speculation about there was a curse, maybe that was the reason why this happened to him. So let's find out. Let's ask that question. Was there a curse? When it came to Bruce Lee. Okay, so we have the mother coming out, Queen of Pentacles. We see that there was this deep love, but definitely the reason why she felt that there was a curse is because she had a state of confusion because of this deep love. Okay, so the answer is no to that. Okay, so let's go to the next question, which is, was Bruce Lee's demise, was it an accident? Let's find out. We're going to ask a yes or no question on this. So, was it an accident? Was Bruce Lee's demise, was it an accident? It was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of both. There was some stuff that was done on purpose, but there was also a little bit of an accident as well. So, that's interesting. Definitely wasn't clear cut. Seven of Cups shows it's not clear cut. Very interesting. This was due to some issues around family or money. So, definitely it's not giving a clear cut answer about whether or not this was accidental. It seemed like there was a little bit of both going on. So there was an accident, part of it, but there was also something that was intention. So let's go a little bit further and let's dive deeper. That's really interesting. That's very strange. That's really weird. Okay, let's go further. So can you please give me more details about how Bruce Lee is no longer with us? Why Bruce Lee no longer with us? What exactly happened? What is the truth about the situation? What caused his demise? Okay, let's find out. Okay, so he was doing what he desired and what he wanted. Well, from what I can understand from the research of this case, he did do a lot of things in extreme to his body. So he was doing what he wanted to do. That was part of it. He was fulfilling some type of desire for himself. And it does look like there is a masculine energy around this. King of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy, masculine around this. And having to try to walk away or avoid this King of Swords. So he wanted to do something, he had some kind of desire, and he was trying to avoid or trying to get away from a King of Swords, masculine. There was a relationship, so what the actual cause was, there was two people around this, a relationship around this. Well, and what was put out there in the public, that there was some type of an affair going on. Of course, we're talking about entertainment purposes only. So, and there was lying, deceptions. So So far we can see 1, 2, 3 people here, okay, around this. Whatever happened with this situation, there was deceptions and a lot of worries and concerns about this. So he was fulfilling a desire in a relationship close to somebody, and then we see this King of Swords did something deceptive, and he couldn't avoid this, and it caused this worries and concerns around the situation. There was definitely a health issue here. Okay, we got the temperance coming out, healing, temperance. And again, we're seeing a masculine energy around this, okay, coming out as well. Something surrounding boss, father, leader, okay, again, we're seeing there's a relationship around this, okay, so basically he was fulfilling some kind of desire. It looks like he had to defend a position here when it came to a King of Swords. There was a masculine, looks like either there's 1 or 2 masculines around this and a relationship around this, so him and another person, feminine, and it looked like whatever he was doing, he wanted to fulfill his desires there, and it did affect his health. But because of this deceptive quality about this masculine, that's really what the issue is. It seemed like it was like basically a perfect storm, if you want to be real about it. Okay, so it's like, seemed like whatever was going on with him in this relationship, there was something deceptive that popped up about this masculine, and seemed like he tried to walk away, but there was some kind of worries, concerns about this relationship. May had to make some power moves towards the situation, made to defend himself, and then caused his own demise because of his health was the real factor here, because he was fulfilling some desires, he was getting what he wanted, and it seemed like because he had to defend his position, there was something deceptive about this masculine, and it kind of was a perfect storm where it caused his demise. Let's just see. Yeah, there was romance here, Knight of Cups energy, and waiting around, 3 of Wands energy, to regain his confidence here, Strength card energy. And there was an offer. Yes, that's right. And even in the official story, they talk about the fact that he was given what? The equivalent of an aspirin. We see something was given to him, Ace of Pentacles energy. And this is what really caused this defeated energy here. Somebody's like, oh, I messed up. And there was a reaction, Knight of Swords energy to this. Now that makes sense. Okay, so he overstrained himself, possibly because of this masculine Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy. He was seeing this person in a relationship. There was romance here. He was trying to regain his stamina, his strength. So he was given this. He was given something, which is actually what caused this to happen. So that's why it's showing like a juggling about this accident, because technically whatever, it was like taxing on his body, and then because of this health concern, he was given this, and then that's what caused this sudden abrupt reaction. Yep. We see that there was something about this, this represents like someone who has a skill set, and we see something about heartache, some kind of issues hurt him, and that was the choice, 2 of Wands. Yep, which caused this long-term situation. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so let's bring it up as clear cut for you guys. Okay, so what it looks like to me is he was doing a lot of things to cause issues to his system, okay, which we all know Bruce Lee did take things to extreme as far as this exercise and stuff like that, and he constantly had to defend himself in fights and so forth. And obviously he was seeing somebody, so he was fulfilling his desire there, okay, and he hadn't regained his strength. So he was given this item, which caused the actual situation to happen. And it was pretty sudden, and somebody was like, oh my God, I messed up. Okay. So let's move to Brandon Lee. So it seemed like it was seemed like health was really a bigger factor there. And also the taxing on his system from this deceptions of this King of Swords. Okay. Possibly maybe the item that the King of Swords, the person gave, possibly maybe it wasn't what it was said to be. Okay, so whatever that was, that item that was given, that he ingested. All right, so of course, entertainment purposes only. So what was Brandon Lee's demise accidental? Show me cards I need. 2, 6. King of Swords. 9 of Pentacles. 5 of Cups. Judgment. Oh, no. No, not accidental. This one is very more clear cut because it definitely shows that's not accidental. Okay, the death card came out. That is, for tarot, when you're asking a yes or no question, the death card is a very strong no. Okay, whereas Bruce Lee, it was a little bit debatable because it was his own health really at the end that what really did it, even though it was an item that he was given. Obviously that's why it wasn't accidental, because he was given some kind of well, as they said in the official story, what we would think as a Tylenol or aspirin, but whatever that was, that's why it was coming out that way as far as like lack of balance. And obviously he lacked a strength because there was something deceptive or something he had to defend when it came to that King of Swords. But now we have this situation where we have to actually have the death card showing no with this situation. This was accidentally not accidental. No. Okay, so let's talk about what is the deal here. This one isn't accidental. Okay, so we got the King of Swords, which shows a Gemini, again, a masculine energy around this. Someone by themselves alone, felt bad, had regrets, something went in their favor, wanted to end something here. There was also another masculine, younger, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy involved, which caused the self-doubt and worry, and then waited around, and then we see something happened very fast. 8 of Wands energy. But let's get more specifics about this. Okay, give me more understanding of what happened with Brandon Lee's demise, please. Give me more specifics of what happened with Brandon Lee's demise, please. Show me cards I need. Show me cards I need. 2. C. Okay, let me have more specifics. Okay, so there was some kind of good news, and somebody who was being very charitable, giving money, and there was clarity, Ace of Swords, needing some kind of clarity, answers about long-term happiness, 10 of Cups, and someone wanted to avoid something, walk away, and we see this King of Swords popping out again, which could be the person that's centrally around this involved, masculine, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy. Now, King of Swords can represent, let's just talk about King energy. King energy can be a boss, okay? Can be a person in charge, okay? Or it could just be a person who's a little bit older or has a lot of wisdom, a lot of life experience. There was definitely secrets here, High Priestess. And a missed opportunity, 4 Cups. And again, there could have been 2 people around this, a relationship, okay? So there was good news, someone wanted long-term happiness, there were secrets about getting some kind of money here and walking away, and someone couldn't accept that. They needed some kind of clarity. There was something about this Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy, masculine, and we see something about a relationship, someone getting close to this person, getting close to Brandon. Because 2 of Cups can talk about someone coming in close proximity to them, or it could have been there was some kind of issue around a love relationship. We see that there is, again, this boss, this leader, and a contract commitment, and there was deceptions, sneaky, sly energy here. And Star card shows this concern about hopefulness, about this house, this home, this building. And I see that there was this naivete, new idea, new concept. We see friends hanging out, having a good time, 3 of Cups energy. And then there was this rest, just taking a break, taking a nap, sleeping. And we see this King of Pentacles. Now, there could have been some, let's just talk about it. There could have been some kind of deficiency in doing someone's job properly. Maybe somebody didn't check it properly because there was too much partying going on or something like that, okay? And someone decided instead of doing what they were supposed to do, possibly, because it's a lot of work-related cards here, okay? There may have been a lack of clarity in checking some things here, and it could be because there was like going out, having a good time, and then I'll just go to sleep. Maybe, you know, somebody said, well, I'll take care of it tomorrow or the next day. But it seems like there was some kind of neglect there in someone's job duties, okay? And double checking that, which caused this situation to happen, okay? All right, my beautiful darlings. If you guys like it this way, you want me to continue this way, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments below. And please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Please post them below, and I will see you guys another day or two. And if you guys like it this way, you want me to continue this way, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week. See you guys soon.